I get at least 5 emails a day from guys telling me they run out of routines when they're in the set, they don't know what to talk, they run out of material, and that they need more material from me so that they can continue their sets, that they can prolong their sets. In a couple of minutes, I will give you an exercise which will resolve this issue for you forever. Never in your life again you will be in a set not knowing what to talk, not knowing how to talk. But before that, I want to address something which I think is very crucial. I think the first thing that you need to know, your issue here is not routines. Your issue here is not having enough confidence or not having enough skills to build your own routines when you're in the set. You don't trust yourself that when you're in the set, you have the ability to continue the conversation. There are a lot of dangers of using canned routines or routines that somebody has prepared for you. And I highly recommend you not using those canned routines or routines that somebody else has written for you. This is for 3 or 4 reasons. First, if you're relying heavily on the routines, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're giving yourself a message saying that all the success that I'm having is because of these routines. And you're never training yourself to become comfortable with women. You're never training yourself to earn the skills that you can go into any set with anyone and make random conversations. You always need those routines. Second, what do you do when you run out of those 5 or 6 routines? You have used those 6 routines and the set's going pretty well. What do you do now? So are you going to like leave the set, run, jump on the internet to find a new routine to use? The third thing is, if you're using a canned routine, remember these routines were designed for somebody else. This guy had an intention why to use this routine and what he wants to accomplish out of that. Now, it might do the job for you in the short run. It might help you prolong your set. But the problem is, it may not give you the intended results that this guy had when he wrote that routine. So you might get few laughs in the short run, but where is it going to take you? It's a train to nowhere. You just don't know what to do with that routine. So you throw one routine, you throw a second routine, you throw a third routine. Now what? The next thing is there is no continuity. There is no, you start talking and it's like a random topic after random topic. There is no continuity. There is no correlation. So I'm talking about, yeah, I was in China last year and the Chinese food there is so good. And the next thing I say is I was riding an elephant last night. The person says, wait a minute, where's the continuity here? So when you use those random routines, it's really hard to bring in the bridge to tie them up together. And the set might continue because there might be other things working in your favor. The chemistry might be working good, your body language might be good, but the routines might sound a little off. Another danger is the overusage of routines. So if you're using a canned routine, there are at least 50 other people who might be using the same night. And what happens if you run into a girl who has already heard that routine? A good example is the routine for the text message. I saw your twin last night. I mean, do you know how many guys use that? That, in my opinion, is the most overused routine. And I know so many girls who have received that routine at least from 3 or 4 different guys. So when you do something like that, you lose value. And again, if somebody else has prepared the routine for you, like I said, you don't build confidence because somebody else did that for you. You don't believe that you have the ability to strike the conversation, to continue the conversation, to take it into any direction you want. And having the ability to come up with your own routines, having the ability to continue the conversation will actually also help you a lot with the shit test. So here's the exercise that I developed 3 years back. I call it Chatty Shelly. I obviously dedicated it to my friend Shelly, who helped me master this exercise. This was the time when I was going through the same problem that I didn't have enough routines to talk about. I didn't know what to do when I go into a set. How do I continue the conversation? So one day, I was just thinking about this. I came up with this exercise, and then I used to practice with Shelly, and we took it to the perfection. Let's put it that way. So in order to do this exercise, you need one more partner. You can't do this by yourself. So how this exercise goes is, you and your partner get together, your wingman, any friend, doesn't matter. And then you're going to say a sentence. And then your partner has to pick a word from your sentence and make a statement or a sentence of their own this sentence has to be slightly different than what you say, or it can be as much different as, you know, it can be, but it has to come out, it has to have one word from your sentence. So let's say, for example, I say the first sentence, I was driving my Toyota last night. Now, my partner, the person that I'm practicing with, cannot go and say, I was driving my Honda last night, and say, oh, it's different because I was not driving Toyota. No, that's not what you do. What you do is, I say, I was driving my Toyota last night, and he says, oh, driving reminds me, I was driving last night on Highway 5, and it was so dark, I couldn't even see 10 feet ahead of me. So now what has happened is, you have picked up a word from this sentence, and you've taken it into a very different direction. And how you will do this in real life is, you go and you start talking, you pick a word, you go into some new routine, you start talking about something, and when that whole conversation is about to die, you pick some word towards the end, or maybe there is some word that already caught your attention in the beginning or somewhere in, you know, while you guys were exchanging communication back and forth, and you hold on to that word, and when the communication or when this routine or this exchange starts to die, you use that word and come up with your own. It's like, oh, you know, that reminds me, we were talking about that. This happened to me last night. Now it's natural. Now there is a continuity to it. So what you want to do is, you want to practice this with your friend. You say a sentence, your partner, your friend picks up that word, makes a sentence, then you pick up a word, you make a sentence, and it goes back and forth. Do it at least 40-50 times, so that way you will get used to it, and you have to do this right away. You cannot say, okay, I heard your sentence, I'll see you in 2 hours, I'll think of something. You have to be very spontaneous, quick, on your feet, go and do it. Then after you do this 40-50 times, you go to level 2. And level 2, what you're going to do is, you're going to inject emotions into it. So remember, there are about 7 or 8 different levels, but for our purpose today, we're only going to discuss 2, because these 2 should be enough to help you carry on, you know, or continue with your sets for an extended period of time. So the second level, what you do is, you inject emotions to it. So I say, I was driving my Toyota last night, and the guy says, oh my God, I was driving last night and it was so dark, it was so scary, and there was this guy who was like almost tailgating me, and I was like, what the hell is going on? So see, now I injected emotions into what I was talking about. It wasn't just like I was driving and it was dark. It's like, oh, somebody was tailgating me and I was like scared, you know. Emotions are coming in, and then you do this back and forth. So now when you're in the set, because remember, you cannot have an emotional conversation all the time. There are different levels of your conversation. When you open, you're just being funny, or, you know, general talk. Then there's a time when you're bonding, you're talking emotions. There's a time when you're teasing. Then instead of emotions, you're going to be injecting teasing. So there are about 7 or 8 different levels. But for now, I just want you to practice these 2 levels. So start with basic sentence, and your friend picks up a word, makes a sentence of their own, and then after you do that 40-50 times, then start injecting emotions into those sentences. Practice that 40-50 times, and then go out. After you do this few times, you will know that you can go into set and you can talk for hours and hours and hours without needing a single routine. I never use any routines. So my recommendation to you is, start practicing chatty Shelly as much as you can, and stay away from the canned routines.